want to start here. I think when we think about rebranding, it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different marketers. Maybe we start with just like defining, like, what is a rebrand? What does that mean to you?
Sure. And it's a really great point, because if you were to ask, especially if you were to ask, someone not in the marketing department, a rebrand versus, they'd probably talk about a logo change, or something, that might even be just a quick refresh. You might just need a new website or something. So semantics are important. To me, a full rebrand is when you are literally changing everything about your company. You are changing the positioning. Perhaps you've acquired a few companies and now your value proposition is significantly shifted. So you are essentially re-articulating what your value proposition is and what the messaging and visual identity of that is to the market. And it could be, maybe your logo and your name stays the same, but everything else is changing in terms of your visual ID. Versus, you could have a situation where it's just a little bit of a refresh. You just need to tweak some of your core messaging. I see that as more of a refresh as opposed to a total overhaul.
So when I have been in situations, and I'm sure you have in your career, Eric, too, where the word rebrand comes up and all of a sudden people are looking over their shoulders and trepidation kind of moves down everyone's spine, and it's kind of ambiguous and no one can really figure out the why behind it. And obviously there's a reason, and the reason gets communicated and then people get to work. But you mentioned some of those reasons. I think what do you think like the most compelling reasons are when you're kind of evaluating if you should actually jump head first and go through a complete rebrand?
Sure. And just for I guess clarification, a lot of what I'll talk about is coming from a B2B SaaS, startup type of mentality, under 500 people type mentality. And I think in our situation, for other B2B marketers out there, tech marketers out there, I think what happens to a lot of companies, I mentioned like M&A, and that does happen, and it does sort of adjust your value proposition. But I think a couple things might happen. A lot of startups reach a point where they make a significant pivot in what their actual offering is to the market. So there's a pivot that may happen. But the other thing that I've seen happen quite a bit is most tech startups, you have these sort of these I guess inflection points in your growth. You get to about 40 million ARR, and you've been okay with with the original value proposition that you started out with, but then you realize that our website, our core messaging, everything else doesn't actually reflect what our technology actually does at this point, because the technology has improved so much over the last 5, whatever it is, years. And you realize that the marketing you're putting out there and the statement you're putting out there reflects 5 years ago, not today. So that's usually what I've seen, is you hit this, like, we want to scale now from 40 to 120 or so, and we've got to have a better message. We have something that helps us for today, but also, 3 years from now. So that's what I've encountered a couple times now. And that is what happened here at CallMiner as well. Essentially, we had a lot of innovation and we grew really fast over the course of a few years. And it was quite obvious that what we were putting out in the market didn't reflect that.